Secret documents. Russia anticipated Ukrainian operation in Kursk for months. Kremlin increases drone production to showcase efforts to offset war losses. And how Ukraine's foreign ministry asserts Crimea status after Polish foreign minister's controversial remark. The latest news next. Russian military command anticipated the operation of the Ukrainian armed forces in the Kursk region and had been developing plans to prevent it for several months. Documents were seized from abandoned Russian positions in the region, according to The Guardian. According to the article, the disclosure of this information makes the panic among Russian troops following Ukraine's offensive in early August even more humiliating. The documents provided to The Guardian also reveal Russia's concern about the morale of its troops in the Kursk region. Documents from Russian Ministry of Internal Affairs, FSB and Army. In late August, The Guardian met with the Ukrainian Special Forces group that seized and returned the documents to Ukraine. The group obtained documents from Russia's Ministry of Internal Affairs, FSB and Army buildings in the Kursk region, later providing a selection for review and photographing. Some documents are printed, orders sent to various units, while others are handwritten logs recording events and problems at specific positions. The earliest entries are dated late 2023, while the most recent documents were recorded 6 weeks before Ukraine began its offensive in the Kursk region on August 6. Most of the documents came from units of Russia's 488th Guards Motor Rifle Regiment, particularly from the 2nd Company of its 7th Battalion. A log entry dated January 4th mentions Ukrainian armed groups' potential breakthrough at the state border, and orders were issued to strengthen preparations to repel any attack. On February 19th, unit commanders were warned about Ukrainian plans for a rapid advance from the Sumy region into Russian territory up to 80 kilometers deep to create a 4-day corridor before the arrival of main Ukrainian army units with armored vehicles. In mid-March, units on the border were ordered to strengthen defensive lines and organize additional training for leadership and strong points on proper defensive organization in preparation for Ukrainian border crossing offensive. In mid-June, a more specific warning appeared about Ukrainian plans in the direction Yunakivka-Sudzha with the goal of taking Sudzha under control, which indeed occurred in August. It was also predicted that Ukraine would attempt to destroy a bridge over the same river to disrupt Russian supply lines in the region, which later happened. The June document also complained that Russian units stationed at the front are filled only 60–70% on average and primarily made up for reserves with weak training. When Ukraine's attack began on August 6, many Russian soldiers abandoned their positions, and within a week, Ukraine had fully taken control of Sudzha. They ran away without even evacuating or destroying their documents, said a member of the Special Operations Group that seized the files. Moscow's chaotic retreat. During Moscow's chaotic retreat, Ukrainian forces captured hundreds of Russian soldiers, many of whom were conscripts, not typically expected to engage in combat. The parents of one of the conscripts from the 2nd Company mentioned in the documents recorded a tearful video in August, identifying him as their 22-year-old son Vadim Kapilov, stating he was captured near Sudzha and urging Russian authorities to exchange him. The documents provide insight into Russian tactics over the past year, including one instance where they discussed the need to create fake trenches and positions to confuse Ukrainian reconnaissance drones. Models of tanks, armored vehicles, and artillery launchers should be created, as well as mannequins of soldiers, and they should be periodically moved around, one of the orders said. Unit commanders were also instructed to ensure that soldiers were exposed daily to Russian state media to maintain their psychological condition. Analysts from the Institute for the Study of War believe that the Kremlin has been ramping up drone production amid efforts to showcase compensation for the social and economic impacts of the war in Ukraine, reported by ISW. Quote, the Kremlin continues to signal its commitment to improving Russian drone operations in Ukraine and drone production capabilities amid efforts to offset the social and economic impacts of a protracted Russian war effort. About details. On the 19th of September, Russian leader, dictator Vladimir Putin met with Russia's Military-Industrial Commission to discuss efforts to expand the country's drone production. He acknowledged the growing importance of drones in modern warfare, a fact which has been further confirmed by Russia's war in Ukraine. Putin claimed that Russian companies delivered around 140,000 drones to Russian forces in 2023 and outlined plans to increase production tenfold to 1.4 million drones in 2024. He stressed the need to steadily enhance both drone production and the performance of Russian-made drones to meet military demands. Putin praised private drone production efforts, noting that drones produced by private companies are not inferior to those from state defense manufacturers. He also mentioned that the Russian Defense Ministry rigorously tests all drones models before deploying them to the front lines. However, a Deutsche Welle investigation revealed evidence suggesting that some Russian irregular forces may be using newly developed drones in strikes on Ukrainian civilians, potentially to expedite the testing process. Meanwhile, Russian meal bloggers have frequently criticized the poor quality of state-produced drones while commending private manufacturers for delivering more effective models. Quote, Putin's claim that Russian plans to increase the drone production to 1.4 million drones in 2024 is slightly lower than planned Ukrainian drone production rates in 2024. Ukraine's Deputy Minister of Strategic Industrial Hanna Gvozdyar noted in March 2024 that Ukraine intends to produce 2 million drones in 2024, and Ukrainian officials have repeatedly emphasized that Ukraine is prioritizing, modernizing, and constantly developing new drones to meet the needs of Ukrainian service members. On Thursday, the 19th of September, Ukraine's Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated that compromises on the territorial status of Crimea are unacceptable. This comes after Radoslav Sikorski, the Polish foreign minister, proposed holding a referendum there under certain conditions, reported by European Pravda. About details, the foreign ministry stressed that the territorial integrity of Ukraine has never been and cannot be a subject for discussion or compromise, and this is supported by both the Ukrainian armed forces partners and international law. Quote, Crimea is the center of gravity of Europe's security architecture. Its full recovery is possible only after complete liberation of the entire territory of Ukraine, including the Ukrainian peninsula, the statement said. The ministry expressed its expectation of support from partners to force Russia to withdraw from Crimea and bring it to justice for violations of international law and crimes committed. All efforts should be aimed at achieving these goals as soon as possible and not satisfying in one way or another the Kremlin's appetites at the expense of the interests of Ukraine and international law, the foreign ministry stated. The foreign ministry did not explain why it voiced this message, although it came after Polish foreign minister Radoslav Sikorski's proposal for resolving the status of Crimea was circulated by Ukrainian media. According to Sikorsky, Russia and Ukraine will be unable to reach an agreement on the status of Crimea, but we could put it under a United Nations mandate with a mission to prepare a fair referendum after verifying who the legal residents are and so on. And we could postpone it for 20 years. The international community, including Poland, does not recognize Russia's illegal annexion of Crimea in 2014. Sikorsky himself confirmed this position in February of this year. Russian forces attacked Ukraine with several missiles and launched 7 dozen kamikaze drones on the night of 19-20 September. Ukrainians' air defense destroyed 61 UAVs and 1 guided aircraft missile, reported by press service for Ukraine's Air Force Command. About details, the Russians struck Donetsk region with 3 missiles of an unspecified type, Dnipropetrovsk region with a Ha-59 guided aircraft missile launched from the airspace of the temporarily occupied territory of Zaporizhia region, and 70 Shahed attack UAVs launched areas Primorsk-Akhtarsk, Kursk and Yeysk in Russia. The Air Force reports that the aircraft, anti-aircraft missile forces, mobile fire groups and electronic warfare units of the Ukrainian Defense Forces were involved in repelling the Russian air attack. 61 attack UAVs and 1 Ha-59 guided missile were downed. As a result of active counteraction by defense forces, 9 Russian drones had disappeared from radar in various Ukrainian regions. No information was received concerning casualties or destruction. Air defense was responding in Dnipropetrovsk, Kyiv, Vinnytsia, Черкаси, Kirovograd, Sumy, Poltava, Ivano-Frankivsk, Lviv, Khmelnytsky, Mykolaiv, Odessa and Kherson regions. That's all for today. Thanks for watching this video. Like and subscribe.